I felt it was a good time to talk about Tavares because he's playing well. And
Kyper, are you writing these?
I am writing these. Did you like it?
It's really good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks. The focus is on a guy right now, and it kind of dawned on me the other day that he is well past this 7-year deal. And the gist of the story for me is that remembering sitting on the desk with a panel, Sportsnet panel on that July 1st.
Did you used to work here?
Once upon a time, I was a television analyst.
Call that for a few years.
Yeah. And thinking that this is a good signing.
Yeah.
It's a good signing for many reasons. We had already started discussing the salary, but don't want to get there now. But the sense was that in 3 or 4 years, this is when the Leafs will be ready to win the cup. And you might have to eat a few of those years. And yeah, he's not a gifted skater like many of them out there.
Mm-hmm.
He does labor. It's not slow.
Yeah.
It's not slow, and he gets to where he needs to get. But you could live with those back half years.
That was always kind of the idea.
And
Also, the cap was going to go skyrocketing up, and it wasn't going to be as impactful.
Yes. But
Right.
now you are now needing those back years.
Yeah.
And more importantly, there's a ton of pressure on him to maintain the status of being a point-a-game guy. And it's good that he's off to that start. Like, he's coming off a serious injury a few playoffs ago.
Yeah.
He even took that slap shot, and you're watching it, and you're watching him barely get off the ice.
Yeah.
And you're reminded right now, especially up against an Austin Matthews slump, on a pretty important guy right now.
Hugely important. Gives them, it has bought them time while the first line has kind of found their stride. But, it's a good time to write about that, Kyper. He's in his 5th season of the 7-year contract, which, how did that happen? And, yeah, it's been good up till this point, but this kind of felt like, okay, here we go, the back 3 years. Off to a good start this year. You did make some good points about what it did to their salary cap and how it changed the structure of other deals. So, if you could go back and not do that deal and see how it would affect the team, it would be fascinating. I don't think you can look at this deal in a vacuum and say it's been anything but good, but what else has it done?
Well, the ripple effect, and there's so much more I could have written, but, I got
hunting and pecking.
I got a day job. I got a day job here on at Sportsnet 590. But the other thing too, which I noticed the most out of going back and thinking about it, was the fact that the contracts, when they got done, there wasn't much negotiations. There was not much hardball. And they could have almost easily set a salary cap and an internal salary cap with Tavares at 11, and they could have had Matthews underneath, which meant that they could have got Marner underneath. And Marner would have settled for $1.5 million behind Matthews, no matter what he got.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
If they would have played hardball a little bit, maybe.
You think Tavares would have come here for 10?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
What did he get from the big rumors that he turned down San Jose at 12.5 or something?
He was never going to San Jose,
right.
ever. They could have offered him 14. He was not going there.
All negotiations, just use someone for
Their
leverage.
cap page is happy.
He was on the East Coast. When you talk about the Rangers and the Islanders and half their trips are on buses and trains, he's not going to California for the next 7 years of his career.
Right, Toronto guy.
And jump into different time zones every other road trip. That wasn't happening. But if they could have managed to get those numbers down, they would have had a lot more money this summer to add the real depth.
Yeah, for sure. And so it did have effect on other negotiations with other players. But, to me, it was one of the things that transformed them from a team that was, going to get good players. Lots of teams draft high picks, and then they say, here we come. But, it kind of put them into that next echelon. and made them competitive all these years where, he gets hurt against Montreal in the first period of the first game, and that hurt them in a significant way because the plan is built around having him contribute. If he doesn't contribute,
well, and that's like you're still on that fine line, Sammy, where 4 or 5 years ago, how's history going to treat this signing?
From now?
Yeah.
Well, if they win, he's going to be hero. The deal was always win and be hero or don't. And
is it still to be determined?
If they win a cup in the next however many years with him as the captain, he will go down in history as an all-time Toronto Maple Leaf great. If they continue to...
was the captain,
we could say that about anybody
player.
The last 50-plus years.
Yeah,
but
guess
that's
what?
the risk everyone takes. They come here and go all or nothing.
No one won it.
Yeah.
So if he does... And listen, we're talking about a team that hasn't got out of the first round. So it's a hard conversation to have. But if, God forbid, one day, praise be, they find a way to lift Lord Stanley's mug and he's the captain, he's going to go down in history as one of the best all time because of that.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't,
if
they don't,
what if they never win a round
then
in this time here and he plays all 7 years? No rounds won.
You just want to kick me in the crotch. I think he probably just goes down as the contract was the reason that they didn't. It's one of the reasons they didn't get over the hump. They weren't able to have enough.
So then he's not welcome on Long Island or in Toronto.
I think he'd be welcome here. I think you're always gonna. I think a lot of people will always love him for coming
coming here for picking Toronto for sure.